Most realtors are working harder now and making less money than they did in 2021. The good news is, for those of you that decide to focus on listings, the next 18 months is going to have some of the best opportunity you've seen in a long time. And this episode is going to talk about why 2026 is the year of the listing agent and how you can take advantage of that. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Listing Blueprint Podcast, the show for real estate agents who want to become top-tier listing agents and build a business driven by systems and not stress. I'm your host, Jeremy Reid, managing broker, 16-year realtor, and creator of the Listing Blueprint Fastest Path to Sold. Every episode, I break down one practical strategy or framework you can use to win more listing appointments, price with confidence, market with intention, and sell homes faster in any market. If you're ready to elevate your listing game and run your business like a pro, you're in the right place. Let's get started. So let's start off by talking about why 2026 is probably going to be one of the best opportunities for listing agents that we've seen in a while. And the fact of the matter is the stats are already starting to settle, where we're starting to go into more of a balance to buyer market, depending on where you are. Now, what this has done is created a really unique opportunity in the marketplace in the fact that sellers and a lot of realtors are stuck with the mindset of the market 3-4 years ago. And the buyers, even though they're getting ready to buy, they're still kind of stuck in the same market. So if you rewind the stats to when we were last like we are now, you're going to go to end of 2018, start of 2019. That was really where we're basically at in the cycle. In my area, it's almost exactly that, except less sales are happening. So same amount of listings came on the market this year as it did in 2018, but half the listings sold and about 2/3 of them sold in 2018. So that's the difference. But in 2018, we were starting to increase, and now we're starting to settle back down. But if you just look at the straight numbers of that, that means about 50% of the market is actually selling. We're having a slow grind down where the prices are correcting. But here's the interesting thing is that sellers are still in the mindset that they should be getting offers in the first 1, 2, 3 weeks. And while it is still possible, it takes a lot of work to do that. Our days on market are now over 60. They're probably going to get closer to 70 or 80 days by the time it's all said and done. And that seems like an eternity when your expectation is that you're going to get an offer in the first week or two. Now, on the flip side of that, you've got buyers that are hesitant. If things aren't perfect, they're not going to move, but they're also still stuck in that mindset. So when they see listings that have been on for a month or 2 months, they start thinking, oh, this is an opportunity to get a deal. But that's really just where the market's at. So now you've got these false expectations from both buyers and sellers. And as a listing agent, you now need to step up and guide your clients through this. The good news is that about half the market is overpriced. So you've got this opportunity that if you can just focus in on your pricing, you're going to beat out most of the market just by being the best deal. Now, if you can pair that with a great preparation plan and get your marketing on point and all three of those hit, you can still sell very quick. But the seller has to understand what needs to go into selling in those first 2 weeks. The other thing that's huge is just look at your market. And I guarantee you, if you go back to the last 60 days, you will see an enormous amount of listings have expired. And that's pretty normal for a season. But it seems out of place right now because a lot of buyers or a lot of sellers went on the market in the summer expecting to sell. They didn't. Everybody pulls off in the winter. And again, if you remember 2018, 2019, that's what it was. You had seasons in the market. We just kind of lost the seasons for a little bit. And they've all pulled off. They don't want to show for Christmas. And right around February, you're going to see all these listings start to come back on. But that is an enormous opportunity in the fact that a lot of these clients, these sellers, are going to be looking for results when they go back to market. And it's human nature. They're not all going to want to blame themselves. They're not going to want to blame their house. They're not going to want to blame those prices. What they're going to do is they're going to start blaming their agents. And for a lot of real estate agents, they've never been through this type of cycle before. If you started in 2021, 2022, start training now. Learn about listings because they're not what you think they are. It's not put a sign in the yard and get offers right away. You need to have pricing conversations. You need to get everything right, and you need to do some work before you go to market if you're going to get the right result. Now, for those that are going to focus on listings, how you're going to take advantage of this is you are going to start by setting proper expectations and doing real work before you go into a listing appointment. So step number 1 is you're going to create some kind of accountability for yourself. Now, the secret is the reason I do my 6-week sold system, and I teach it in the listing blueprint. So if you want to duplicate it, do it. But here's the fact of the matter. When I was taking 90 or 120 day listing contracts, my days on market extended out. They went longer because I had more time. It's human nature. It's like that whole thing, the work will expand to the time that it's allotted. The minute I changed my listing contracts and started giving myself a 6-week timeline, I started selling listings faster. Because what the accountability does, and it doesn't have to be a 6-week listing contract, it can be whatever creates accountability for you. But the reason I like it is that if you look at the stats, this first 6 weeks is the most important for a seller. But if I only have that time to make it happen, I get out of my own optimism. I get out of my own, okay, we'll try it for a couple weeks and we'll come down. If we have 6 weeks and we're going to start high on the price, we need a real solid plan of how we're going to adjust. Otherwise, we're just going to miss that whole window. And because of that accountability, it forces me to be more honest. It doesn't force me to be more pressure, by the way, because when I'm talking to a client about this, they're on the same page. They understand what the guidelines are. So I don't need to pressure them, but I need to be really focused on being able to tell them what's going to happen for them to actually sell in the first 6 weeks. And if they decide they want to take longer, that's their choice. But a 6-week window for us to sell a property takes a very specific plan, so it keeps me accountable to that. So create some kind of accountability in your business. It can be some kind of offer. But remember, at the end of the day, the sellers, as they're doing their interviews, they're going to want to know that someone can get them results. They're going to want to know you've got a plan, and they're going to be looking at you online. So just put out some content. Just make sure that the people around you know that you have a plan for how to get listings sold, and just get that word out. And whatever kind of offer you want to put behind it, that's completely fine. But that's going to be number one, because a lot of these expired listings are going to be reaching out and making calls in January and February, getting ready for the spring market. Number two is you're going to focus on your pricing. Forget all the other stuff, the marketing, all that. It's important. 100% it's important, but it's a fraction. If you can't price it right, you can't get that listing sold. So from now on, I want you to spend 2 hours researching for every listing. I want you to know every single sold, and I want you to know exactly how it compares to your listing, similar to it, what the weaknesses were, what the strengths were. I want you to know it inside and out. I want you to go on to BC assessment, or whichever assessment you're out, because I know I've got some listeners that are in the US, but find out what for sale by owners have happened in the area. For us in BC, the easiest way is the BC assessment to see what's sold around our listing. But what for sale by owners about? Don't let them tell you that the neighbor sold for sale by owner down the coast. You do the research on that. Know what your average days on market are that you're competing with, so you know the target. Know how often those properties sell, and know what weight class you're going in. That's a big one. Know if you're listing a property and it's somewhere between 8 and 850, know exactly what an 8 to 825 listing looks like, and an 825 to 850, and be able to explain it to the seller. Because the minute you can understand all these listings, you can talk about the pluses and minuses of every listing that's sold, every listing that you're competing with, and you can really identify the weight classes. You're going to find that their prices are a lot easier because the seller can understand these things. When you just throw out a bunch of numbers, they can't follow along. They need solid reasoning why this one should sell more, this one should sell less. These are your weight classes, and now you're choosing a weight class. You're not choosing a price, because you can't guarantee a price. You don't know what the prices are, but you do know what your competition is. So which weight class are you going to fit better in? Last little tip on this, when you're looking at weight classes, remember, every weight class should cut off a certain point of buyers. So there should be a certain percentage of buyers that can only buy up to that weight class. That's why we use weight classes. That's why we list at $799 instead of $819.9. The reason is that a certain amount of buyers can only buy up to 800. So we're controlling our competition for everything that's under 800. And yeah, we're still competing with the ones above, but there's a percentage that we're going under. That's also when we do price reductions, why we do it by weight classes. Because if you're going to start at 819, now you're looking for offers between 8 and 819. And if it doesn't hit, we don't go 809. That's not needed. We go to 799. These kind of planning and these kind of conversations are going to help navigate the seller. I'm not saying you never go to 809, okay? Maybe you price it right and you just needed to get a boost, and there is a time and a place for everything. But my point is, weight classes make a big difference, and you, as the expert, need to understand your pricing better than anything. Half-measure marketing efforts with the proper pricing strategy will sell the listings in this market. Everything else is a bonus on trying to get it prepared and marketed right. Number 3 is whatever plan you put forward, you're going to start to put on a barometer. This helped me immensely, and it's going to help you a ton too. You're not going to be right. I'm wrong a lot. Not a lot. A little bit, though. I'm wrong a little bit. There's times when I was sure we're going at the right price, and I thought it was going to get offers right away, and it doesn't. So how do we now get out of our own way, and how do we navigate the seller? Well, there's only 2 things that you should be waiting on. Certain amount of days on market or a certain amount of showings. And these need to be set with the seller. They need to know what the next step is. They don't need to believe that you're going to be right 100% of the time because you're a strategist. You don't have a crystal ball. But what you can do is say, we're going to try this bait of a plan. And that bait is going to include targeting to this type of demographic of buyer. We're going to run this preparation plan. And we're going to try this pricing strategy. And we're going to try this for X amount of days or a certain amount of showings. Once we've got to those numbers, now we're going to look at readjusting if we don't have an offer. Hopefully we get one. But if we don't, we're going to look at and adjust. What is a reasonable number of showings to you? And this would be a conversation I would have with the seller. For me, if we get 8 to 12 qualified buyers through and we get no offers, that's real market data that we're not in the right price point. The only time we might want to go more than that is if the seller knows that they're pushing their price up, but in their mind, they're thinking, well, or your mind, because you're the strategist too, there's a percentage of buyers that are going to see value, but it's going to be rare. And it might take us 20 showings to find that buyer. Remember, if they are going to go that path, that's fine. But at 20, we have to relook at this. And they also have to know that we have to be willing to have 19 people come through and tell us our price is over, our price is over the top. So that's going to take some time. In any market, that's going to take a while. Like this might be a 70, 80, 90, 100-day plan for us to get that kind of data. Now, does that work with your plans? Are you willing to wait 100 days to gamble on that 1 out of 20? If you are, let's run it. Like I said, there's no pressure. We're strategists. It's their home. They should choose the price. But they need to understand what the stakes are and what the timelines are. So going with that type of pricing strategy, with that kind of barometer, when they need to be moved and out of their place in 60 days, or they have a place that they just put subject to sale and they don't want to lose it, and that's going to sell quick, that's not a good plan. So we look at the barometer. If it's 8 to 12 showings, the nice thing about it is that your days on market might be like, we're going to look at this again at 10 days or at 8 showings. We're going to look at one of those. Those 8 showings might happen in the first 3 days. And now we're sitting down again. But because you've already set that barometer, it's not a surprise when you go back to them and say, hey, we're going to start looking at this again because we've had our 8 showings. Now, one more thing on that, you might not always just be changing the price. Remember, the barometer sets 3 things: the demographic of buyer you're marketing to, the preparation plan, and the pricing strategy. So if they're coming through and it's the wrong type of buyers, that might be the adjustment we do after 8 to 12. We need to tailor to a different type of buyer demographic. If people are coming in and they're saying something about the house, it's got a smell, it's got an odor, they don't like the way that it shows, it seems cluttered, well, we better adjust that, right? If we didn't adjust it before, we better adjust it now. But if those 2 things aren't happening, it's probably just price. And now we need to make an adjustment. So those 3 things, if you just do that, you're going to have an awesome year in 2026. Get out there, market yourself. And if you want just a proven system, if you just want turnkey, go run the system, it's a 90% success rate to sell listings in less than 6 weeks. And I promise you, if you focus on listings, you're going to have a really good year. You can buy the listing blueprint. It's everything. It's my 6-week selling system broken from intake right to the key delivery. And right now it's on for $295. It is going to go up to $695. So I'm going to put a timer countdown. But around Christmas time, I know things get tight. So if you want to take the training and you want it for a really good discount, buy the course before the end of December because you're going to save about $400 Canadian. If you're the US listener, you're getting about 30% discount right now. So I don't think you can get better training for that price anymore. But we're going to leave it at that till the end of December. January 1st, it will go up. The other thing that I'm starting for January 1st, for those of you that are interested, is I am going to restart coaching. I miss it. I like it. I'm not going to do a lot of it, but I'm really good at it and I've enjoyed it in the past. So if you are interested in getting some one-to-one coaching, I do have a few opening spots and we'd have to do a call, talk about the plan and talk about how we're going to implement that plan over 2026 to make sure we're both on the same page. But again, the link for that will be in the show notes. Click that, set up a call and we can discuss it. So other than that, follow along. I've got one more episode coming before the end of the year and then we're off to 2026. So make sure you follow on for that and reach out if you have any questions, guys. You got my email and everything. I love to hear how things are going for you. All right. Thanks.